Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Destiny Heroic, and I'm here today to talk about my thoughts on the next ban list. It's right around the corner. It's supposed to be released sometime this week, so I just want to get in my predictions, my own personal opinions on what this should be. So if you disagree with me, that's fine, but we'll know for sure by the end of this week, probably. So first on my list, I think is the first on everybody's list, is to get rid of these 4 dragon rulers. I think we've had about enough of this bullshit. These are bullshit cards and they need to go away. Free summons from the graveyard, free summons from anywhere, and they're just giant. These things would have been a lot more balanced if they had had smaller stats, more respectable stats. But they just need to go away. And next, I think that should be banned is Gen X Ally Birdman. This guy is at the center of a number of FTKs, and he's also a linchpin on the Karakuri Geargia OTK strategy. So that is a whole nother can of worms, which we'll get to in a minute, but because of that, I think this thing needs to go away. We've had about enough of him. So Birdman, Vanhammer, bye-bye. Next, I actually think that this card, Royal Tribute, needs to be banned because a lot of new Gravekeeper support is coming out, and Gravekeepers are coming into a period where they're going to be a really strong deck. And this card is old. This came out in like year 2 or year 3 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Way back when like effects were printed with broken effects and they didn't even know what they were doing. Konami didn't even know what was going on. So this kind of a card, discard all monsters. It's way too overpowered, and Gravekeepers just have way too many things going for them to make a Royal Tribute play just unrecoverable. So I think that needs to go away. Now, in terms of top decks, we've got a couple things here. Right now, Mermails are pretty big, and I wanted to talk about these 4 cards. I don't think you need to ban anything in Mermails, but I do think some of this stuff, maybe even all of this stuff, needs to be semi-limited or even limited. My first choice for limiting anything would be Abyss Gund. The whole deck focuses on paying water monsters for costs and then gaining effects. This makes a single Megalo play into a Dragosack, and you search an Abyss Sphere. This turns a Spike off of a Lind into a search for another Gund and a Lind back on the field. And it's just a free summon for doing what the deck does. It's a little bit too broken, so I think Gund needs to go to 1. Lind would be better if there was a level restriction, but the fact that she can go and get Megalo or anything out of the deck is a little overpowered. I actually don't. This would be my third choice for hitting. Lind can probably stay at 3 comfortably, but she could also easily go to 2 or even 1. Teus has become a big problem. Discard Gun for Teus and special summon something, and then it's basically the Megalo argument all over again, except with less of a cost. So I think Teus, one way or another, should go to 1. Again, I don't think he needs to be banned. You don't need to kill the deck. You just need to make it less super overpowered, consistent. And Sphere is your typical search off of Megalo. The deck usually runs 3 of them. I think if Lind goes down to 2 or 1, you can probably leave this at 3. But if they don't touch Lind, then this should probably go down to 2 or 1. Getting any card out of the deck, including Lind, is a little overpowered. So yeah, so that should go to 2 or 1. And on to the Gear deck. I think Gear needs to go away. I really don't like the Gear deck. It's any 2 cards basically is an OTK, and this is one of them. This is one of the cards that kind of facilitates a 1-turn kill, and it should never have been made in the first place. But as it is, it should probably go to 1 if they don't ban it. Bringing out the 2 Geargianos and making them level 4, so it's basically a 1-card Gear Gigantax where you search for the Birdman and then blow them up on your turn. It's a little too good. It would have been okay if the Geargianos came out with the original levels, but whatever. I think this should go to 1 or get banned. So the next cards I wanted to talk to are these 2 Hoban cards. Honestly, I don't know what the fuss about all this stuff is. Upstart Goblin is not a good card. It's basically like saying I'm going to run a 37 card deck, but my opponent gets to start at 11,000 life points. You draw 1 card, your opponent gains 1,000, like big whoop. I think this can probably stay at 3. I wouldn't be surprised if they hit it though. Reckless is another story. It used to be at 1 because when you stack them, you still only skip 2 draw phases. But now that every deck is showing 3 of them, I think we need to revisit putting this back to 1 because drawing 6 cards and then skipping 2 draw phases is a little too good. And it supports like an entire metagame full of mermails and dark worlds and stuff like that. So I think this needs to go to 1. Next is these 2 Hysteric cards. Hysteric Party was kind of cool when it came out, but there just weren't enough Harpies. But now we have like, what is it, 4, 5, or even 6 Harpies that are Harpies in the graveyard, so this is always going to be summoning 5 monsters. And you know, like Return from a Different Dimension is a card that got banned for summoning 5 monsters, so I think this needs to go down to 1. It's not searchable or anything, and Harpies aren't that popular. But I think it's still kind of overpowered now, so it should probably go down to 1. Hysteric Sign adds some much needed consistency to the Harpy deck. I would actually expect this to get hit, but I actually kind of don't want it to, because I don't want Harpies to go away. I want them to have a chance to make a bigger splash in the metagame, so maybe put this at 2 or 1. But I could see them keeping it at 3 too. So Magician of Faith is actually a candidate for something that I think should come off of the limited list. Magician of Faith used to be played in just about every deck, and that's when spell cards were like, every spell card was a power card, like Raigeki, Monster Reborn, stuff like that. But now spell cards are really more theme specific, and the only deck that can really use this is Prophecy, and using this in Prophecy makes the deck too slow. So, I mean, putting this back at 1, and it didn't see any play, so you can probably bring this back to 3, and it still won't see any play. So that's my vote for that, bring that to 3. And I'm a Bujin player, and I really like Tenki at 3, but that doesn't mean they won't hit it. It's very possible that they're going to put Tenki down to 2 or even 1. I mean, Rhoda is at 1, but at the same time you can't MST a Rhoda and stop the search, so maybe put this back to 2 or leave it at 3, I don't care. It's good to stay at 3. So down here are my votes for, okay, hang on. So, hiccup averted. Sorry about that, guys. Apparently, just hovering over card names doesn't constitute as action, so it timed me out of Dueling Network. So, basically, I just wanted to talk about these 4 cards. So, Zen Mighty is banned right now. I actually didn't agree with their banning this card when they did. The whole reason the wind-up deck was a problem was because of Shockmaster, and they could use 2 cards and shock block you with a Zen Mighty and something else on the board. So as long as Shockmaster stays banned, they could probably bring Zen Mighty back to 1. With Zen Mighty at 1, there is no Hunter loop, so they don't need to do anything with that. I know Japan is banning Hunter and bringing Zen Mighty back to 1, but they still have Shockmaster. So I think they could probably stand to bring Zen Mighty back to 1. Leave everything on Wind-Up's back the way it is, like leave Magician at 1, Shark at 3, all that stuff. If they were going to get rid of another card from Wind-Ups, they should probably get rid of Wind-Up Rat. Didn't search, but whatever. It's at the center of all their loopy OTK things. So, yeah. And Bestiari, Gladiator Beast Bestiari has been on the limited list for a very long time now. Nobody plays Glad Beasts. There's a new Gladiator Beast coming out in Primal Origins, which could increase the potential for Gladiator Beast to be a viable deck. So they might want to consider bringing Bestiari back to 2 or even 3, just to test out how successful that deck might be. And Power Bond, with the release of the Cyber Dragon structure deck, giant cyber fusion monsters are now a thing again, and Power Bond has a potential to turn Cyber End Dragon into a 16k trampler and end the game at that moment. So Power Bonds could probably stand to go to 1 or even ban it. It's kind of OP, and where you can play 9 Cyber Dragons in the deck now, you're going to be able to make 5,600 Cyber Twin Dragons and limit removal and all that bullshit. So this is an old card that was kind of gimpy when it came out, but now that there's so many more options for giant fusion monsters, I think Power Bond needs to be looked at. Maybe not on this list, but certainly in the future, especially if Cyber Dragon decks become big. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is this piece of shit. Elemental Hero Stratos needs to stay dead. I don't care what any of you guys think. Stratos is it's bad for the game. Every other search card for every other archetype has some restriction. You can go get a you have a level restriction, or you can only do it when he's normal summoned, or you can only do it when he's special summoned. Stratos is everything. Special Emmy searches, normal Emmy searches, and you don't even get to respond to his effect, because you don't have to declare which effect you're activating. So you could say like, oh, I'm gonna flip over my traps because you're just gonna destroy them, and then he goes and searches instead. So Stratos, the heroes this year are going to be 3 generations old, so I think we just need to let them die. I mean, there's a new structure deck coming out in the next few months in Japan that might have a new Stratos, a new take on linchpin for hero decks. So for the time being, I think Stratos needs to stay dead. And if you hate me for that, whatever. Like I said, this is my opinions, and if you disagree with me, fine, leave it in the comments, all that stuff. But yeah, that's my thoughts for the ban list, limited list kind of thing. If you disagree with me, leave it in the comments. If you agree with me, leave it in the comments, all that stuff. So thanks for watching, and yeah, peace.